will we continue to hold tightly to the principles of freedom that made America the most exceptional, prosperous, and compassionate nation in history? Or will we fall for the false hope and empty promises of more government solutions?
Our government needs to reinforce the importance and value of life. That's something I'll continue to fight for. We see it in the stem cell debate. We see it in the abortion debate. Life should be valued, and government should not endorse any other way. If you're like me, you're watching Congress pass bailout after bailout and wondering when we will stop throwing your tax dollars out the window with no results. I've spent the last 6 years in Congress stopping over 10,000 wasteful earmarks and fighting for real transparency and reform. But there's still much more to be done. I will continue my fight to ban earmarks and to stop the spending, debt, and bailouts that threaten our children and our grandchildren's future. We know the best way to improve public education is to give parents more choices and to let the money we spend follow the student. You would find better schools in almost every community in a very short period of time. Few issues affect our checkbooks, environment, and national security like energy. To put it plainly, America's dependence on foreign oil must come to an end. We can't keep sending our money overseas to hostile regimes in the Middle East and South America. Right here at home, we have an abundance of resources that would increase the amount of energy available to Americans, lower gas prices, and keep American dollars here. As families and businesses across our nation struggle in this economy to cope with rising energy prices, we should be looking at all options for domestic energy production. Nuclear, wind, solar, geothermal, hydroelectric, clean coal, and even technologies we haven't yet discovered. But first we have to say no to expensive schemes like the cap-and-trade energy tax that would cripple our economy, kill jobs, and raise the cost of living for all Americans. Every dollar created by the Fed has an effect on the value of the dollars in our pockets and bank accounts. We need to pay more attention to the effect of Washington decisions, whether fiscal policy made by Congress or monetary policy made by the Fed. They all are ultimately borne by the American people. The Federal Reserve will create and disperse trillions of dollars in response to our current financial crisis. Americans across the nation, regardless of their opinion on the bailout, want to know where the money has gone, exactly how much has been spent, and what collateral has been taken in return. That is why you see so much bipartisan support in the House in Bernie Sanders and Jim Demint being on the same side in the Senate. Inflation is a hidden tax, and we unfortunately forget about it too often when we are debating spending bills here in Congress. Our fiscal actions, higher deficits, increased long-term debt, entitlement obligations will necessarily need to be paid for by printing new money or borrowing more money from an increasingly skeptical world. Either option results in higher interest rates for consumers and a devaluing of the dollars they have already earned and saved. Allowing the Fed to operate our nation's monetary system in almost complete secrecy leads to abuse, inflation, and a lower quality of life for every American. President Obama's health care plan is the wrong prescription for South Carolina and for America. It will explode Medicaid rolls and break the state budget. Insurance premiums will increase, and small businesses, which are already drowning in red tape, will have even more expensive government paperwork to complete and more hoops to jump through. This job-killing bill is a poison pill, plain and simple. That's why I'm convinced we must repeal Obamacare and replace it with real health care reform. I've introduced legislation that would provide vouchers to families so they can purchase their own health insurance. If you don't have insurance today, or if you simply want to shop around for another plan, you would be immediately eligible for a health care voucher, $2,000 for individuals and $5,000 for families every year. You could use that money to buy a health care plan that you could own and keep, even if you changed jobs, even if you moved, even if you or a member of your family became sick. That health care plan would be yours, and the government would never be able to take it over or take it away. My plan would also allow you to shop for insurance across state lines. So if you live in South Carolina, but the best plan for you is based in Pennsylvania, you could still buy it. And my plan reduces predatory and frivolous malpractice lawsuits against physicians and hospitals. So let's repeal the ineffective mandates and bureaucracy of Obamacare and turn to health care solutions where Americans have health insurance plans that they can afford, own, and keep. America has been a beacon of hope and opportunity for generations of immigrants with a desire to become citizens of the greatest nation in the world. But for citizenship to have real meaning for those who come to the country legally, we must insist on basic principles of reform. Secure our borders, reject amnesty, and create an immigration system that is a benefit and not a burden to America. With the support of the American people, we were able to stop the disastrous immigration bill that would have granted amnesty to illegal immigrants in 2007. Since that time, I've introduced common sense legislation that requires the completion of 700 miles of fencing along our nation's southern border and would make English the national language. As we move forward on immigration, securing our borders must be our #1 priority. Legal immigration must serve America's best interests by attracting those with skills and enterprise, creating a responsible temporary guest worker program, and putting responsible limits on the burdens immigrants place on American taxpayers. And we must not grant amnesty. Illegal immigrants cannot be given legal permanent residency or citizenship without first returning to their home country and getting right with the law. And finally, we must again teach immigrants what it truly means to be an American citizen, and that includes speaking our common language. It's time for Washington to put aside political agendas and listen to the American people on this issue. Our national security depends on it.